YouTube, what's going on? I'm in my new house. I got my own little engine build room over here that my wife let me have, so I don't have to be in the garage on the concrete and stuff like that. I got me some moving blankets down here. Anyways, I'm looking for some technical advice. This is my first big block engine that I'm building. I've built plenty of small blocks before, and just looking for some technical advice on my piston to valve clearance. I'm gonna go ahead and try to set my camera up somehow and show you guys what I'm working with over here. So it's a Predator 420 stock stroke, stock bore, billet rod, billet flywheel, and a NR 280 cam. I got it set up right now where the bottom end is assembled. It's not finally assembled yet. It's just got 2 bolts in the side cove over there, but the rod is torqued down, the cam and lifters are in, all that good stuff. I got my push rods in, my rocker arms in with some checking springs. They're super light. And basically no head gasket is what I'm working with right now. So with no head gasket, basically checking the clearance between the valve and the piston at various points in the engine cycle. So I'm just slowly rotating the flywheel, a degree at a time. I don't have a degree wheel set up, but very small increments is what I'm getting at. And basically what I got figured out right now, I got my little handy dandy notebook. I got my feeler gauge disassembled over here so I can try out different thicknesses. But on my exhaust side, 86 thousandths with those 4 feeler gauges right there, in between the rocker and the lash cap, at its tightest point, 86 thousandths is basically how much I'll say lash, how much clearance I have in there. On the intake side, the 20 thousandths feeler gauge and the 25 thousandths feeler gauge gives me 45 thousandths at its tightest point. And basically what I mean by that is I rotate the engine slowly and I'm checking to see how much movement I have here with the feeler gauges in, and I'm kind of checking to see how much tension is on my push rod, if I'm able to rotate it freely or not. So I'll go ahead and try to set up my camera and show you what I mean. See if this is gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna work. Okay. Let's see what we got. You should be able to get a good view from there of what I'm doing. So here's the exhaust side right here. Like I said, I got my checking springs in, and let's go to the exhaust stroke. So from what I've heard online, watching YouTube videos and Googling, doing my research, trying to get smarter, the closest point for the exhaust valve is normally at the end of the exhaust stroke. So as the piston is chasing the valve up, is the way they said it. The piston's coming up and the valve is also closing, is when it gets to its closing point, at its closest point. So right now, that's my flashlight. Let's see, exhaust, piston's still going down a little bit. Now it's coming up. I'm at max lift on my cam. Piston's coming up. Valve is also coming up. Right about here, I'm at top dead center. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. The piston is on its way up right now and the valve is closing. So I got plenty of clearance there. Plenty of clearance. Piston still coming up. Plenty of clearance, right? Now I put in my 86 thousandths to take up that gap. Okay, there's my 86 thousandths feeler gauges in there. I'll back it up just a little bit. Plenty of clearance. The piston is coming up. Now I'm contacting the piston right here with my 86 thousandths gap taken up. Still contacting the piston. Piston's coming up. Okay, my gap is going away. That's pretty much right here. That's pretty much zero lash or zero clearance with the 86 thousandths in there. And I can feel, if I put my hand inside, my finger inside the port, I can feel that very small amount of movement on the valve when that lash goes away, when the clearance is zero. Okay, same thing for the intake side. So 86 thousandths on the exhaust. Intake side is going to be a 25 thousandths feeler gauge. And what I do with my 20, it's over here somewhere. Let's see, 20 thousandths. So 20 and 25 gives me 45 thousandths. And keep in mind, this is with no head gasket. Trying to see how much clearance I have with no head gasket, so I can determine how much I want to shave off or how thin I want to go in my gasket or whatever, you know, what's safe basically. So let's go to my intake stroke. So intake, from what the research I've done, the closest point is as soon as the intake stroke starts. So right before the piston starts going down and the intake valve is starting to open. So right here is the beginning of the intake. Let's see, let's check my clearance. So good. All right, contacting the piston. That's top dead center right there. I'm contacting, I got a little bit of clearance. And then as it starts going, as the piston goes down and the valve starts to open, that clearance gets smaller even though the piston is still going back down. Okay. So right, it's my tightest point. Tightest point right here. Okay, that's zero pretty much. Well, right there, that's pretty much zero clearance with the 45 thousandths gap taken up. So my question is, my question for the pros, what is the minimum clearance that you want to have between your piston and valve? Because let's say if I have the stock head, stock deck, and I go 20 thousandths head gasket, that's going to put that at 25 thousandths clearance and 66 thousandths clearance. What's the minimum that you guys recommend? Like I said, it's stock stroke, stock deck, stock head, in an NR 280 cam, and then billet flywheel, billet rod, which that doesn't really change anything except for the durability. So let me know what you guys recommend. I got these checking springs right here. I just went to Lowe's. It's some kind of like a door, screen door spring or something like that, but it works good. I have my valve lash set up at pretty much zero lash with these checking springs. I do have my dual springs here from NR, so I don't think I'll have to worry about valve float. I'm not going to be spinning it that fast, but I do have my dual springs here. So let me know what you guys think and how close can I put this thing, or should I just leave it alone with the stock deck and the stock head and the stock head gasket. Leave a comment and like.